Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan. We've had some really crazy weather around here lately. It just keeps raining and then it gets really hot and then it rains and then it gets really hot and then it pours and then the wind flies around and blows things around and it's been really crazy. So it's super wet outside, but we're going to try to plant some lavender today because I have not been out in the garden for a while. This lavender has been sitting in pots for probably a month and it needs to get out of its can. We're also going to kind of trim the boxwood that we have in this garden bed, and we're going to release this tree from its stake, our weeping crabapple that we have over here. So let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who were not here during my plant haul, this is a plant that I got on clearance. I've got 4 of these we're going to plant today. These are by Monrovia and these are big time blue lavender. So big time blue lavender, and these take full sun. They are a perennial and they are blooming fantastically right now. These are dew resistant, which is super important in my garden because we get them through quite often. And this is described as showy flower spikes in summer, perfect for containers, beds, and borders. Plant in a location where the fragrance can be enjoyed all season. It takes 6+ hours of direct full sun, and the watering needs of this are very low, which is awesome because I don't plan to water this bed much. And it gets 12 to 15 inches high by 12 to 15 inches wide, which is pretty much where it's at right now. It's a little bit shorter than that because it's still in its pot. It blooms pretty much all summer and it's hardy all the way down to -20, which is a zone 5. So super fantastic for my area, which is again zone 6A. Now I do have fairly heavy clay soil in this area, but I'm not going to amend it. I find that lavender does fine in my garden anyways, so we're going to give it a go. I have a feeling that as I dig in this soil, we're going to find that it's very wet and sticky, but I want to get these plants in the ground, so we're going to get it done today. So I have 4 of them planted along the line here. We'll start at this end, and I think it's going to look lovely planted in between. I did plant begonias in this garden bed earlier this year. They have not done very well at all, so I will be digging a few of those out. They've barely rooted in. They have very light and fibrous roots, and maybe I'll be able to find a nice shady area to plant them in later. So I've got this hole dug. The ground is definitely incredibly wet. I've got some good worms in the soil here, so I'm happy about that. I see some nice worms in the soil, and lavender really likes good drainage though, so I'm definitely going to plant this so that the top of the plant is slightly above the soil level. That way it will not get root rot or anything like that. And then I'm just going to backfill with this mulch, which will also help keep it well drained, but also help cover the soil. All right, we got a few more to do. I've got quite a bit of mulch on top of this garden bed because it's a fairly new bed. So definitely got to get all of that mulch away before I dig and plant. But it has done a great job with these other plants that have been planted here for a while now in terms of keeping them moist and providing them what they need to grow. So I'm really happy with the way this bed is kind of coming about. I just was hoping the begonias would provide a little bit more, I don't know, flower power in this area and some filler until some of these plants got a little bigger, but unfortunately they didn't like it here that much. However, this lavender looks beautiful and I think it will be much happier. All right, let's get these last 2 done. more worms. There were like 0 worms in this garden bed when I started it, so it makes me happy to see that. Now, one thing that won't be in this garden bed that is not a perennial next year are these beautiful grasses. These purple fountain grasses are just annuals, but I did plant those as a filler this year, and I think they turned out really good. I'm real happy with the interest that they've provided and kind of the backdrop for this garden bed. I've never planted them in the ground before, but it was a great experiment, and I'm happy I did. Definitely do not need to water in today, so that's great. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna give a nice little light trim to these boxwoods here. And that's because they are not quite as tidy as I would like, but we did transplant them this year. So I'm just gonna give them a little bit of clipping, not too much. I don't wanna like stimulate a whole bunch of growth on them. I just want them to look nice and tidy again. And I'm just going to leave the clippings in the garden bed to kind of compost in place. A little bit of chop and drop, if you will. They will not do any harm. They will only feed the soil a little bit. Okay, I think that's just about all I want to do on that one. Again, just some nice little clippings to tidy it up. And we'll move on to the other one. All right, so we're just gonna, again, do a little bit of snipping with these scissors. These are just a pair of Fiskars scissors that I got. I think I got them at Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. And they're fantastic. They're a little bit stronger than some of the other scissors that you might get just for sewing or indoor work. A little bit more pruning on this one than the other one. That looks pretty good. Next thing we're going to do here is we are going to head over to our weeping crab apple, and we're going to give that a little bit of freedom. Well, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I am sweating already. It is super duper humid out. It's just in the 80s today, but it poured earlier today. Last night we were without power, and it's just been crazy weather-wise. So what we're going to do now is I am going to take this and actually release this tree from its kind of setup here with the stake. And we're just going to do it kind of gently, see how it goes. If I have to put it back on, I will, but I think that we've got what we need going on here. So how does that look? Does it look straight? I'm going to kind of back up and take a peek since I can't hear you guys. I'm liking it. I'm thinking it's pretty good the way that it is right now. So I'm going to take it off. So I'm just going to cut it and pull the stake so that we can have a beautiful garden without this. A little bit of an eyesore. Okay, let's take a look at this garden bed as a whole now. I think it's looking really good. We definitely have some nice filling in with that lavender, I think. And it's really great to get that stake out, isn't it? So this lavender is beautiful, and I see bees are already coming over to it. We've got a bumblebee on it right now. Isn't that fantastic? I love the way that it looks next to that boxwood. That variegated boxwood is so beautiful, and it definitely provides a really nice contrast both against the annual grass as well as the weigela here on the end. And it provides a really nice kind of, I don't know, echo of the silvery blue foliage on the evergreens that are back there, which are a blue arrow juniper. So those are going nice and upright. So I'm real happy with what we've accomplished today. I think it turned out great. Thank you so much for joining me in the garden. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm sorry it's not longer, but the weather and everything else has really made things a challenge to get out in the garden. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you all are safe and enjoying your gardens when you can. See you next time.